Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today we have my brother from another mother from down under, Glenn Twiddle. I met Glenn at an 8-day conference that he and I attended back in September of 2016, so last year. And then I went out to see him just a couple weeks ago. He was doing an event in Orange County, and I got to see how he does things up close and personal, how he filled a room, how he brought on the speakers, how he worked the room, presented a great offer, made sales. So Glenn is an expert. He is doing big events out in Australia. He's hanging out with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's hanging out back here in L.A. with Arnold and Sylvester Stallone and guys like that. So he's doing some things right, but he's doing them the right way. So you are in for a treat with Glenn. I literally just made a group. Well, I've had the group, but it was just sitting there private with only one other person in it, a partner of mine, called the Implementors. So I've been asking you over the last few episodes to fill out a survey. Let me know if you were interested in keeping the conversation alive, taking it to another level, because here obviously it's one way. I speak, you listen. I do want to hear from you. I do want to help you grow your sales. I want to help you overcome any obstacles in your life. I had a private message exchange today with a longtime client and friend of mine. She's going through some troubles, just giving her some feedback. So I'm happy to help, but I need to know that you're there. So I've taken this group, and we've got a little questionnaire there just so we know that you're legit. It's just 3 questions that Facebook lets you ask now in a group. But if you go to theimplementors.com, so it's like an implementer but with an O, right? Theimplementors.com. That'll redirect to our Facebook group, where you can just go to Facebook and search for that, the Implementors. So it's for people that implement. It's also for people that are looking for mentors. It's also for people that are willing to be a mentor. Okay, so Zig Ziglar always said, help enough people get what they want and you'll get what you want. So come with an attitude of serving, of giving, and I guarantee you'll get and you'll receive. So we're taking the sales podcast to another dimension, and a group is a great way for some give and take. And please join us. Come hang out. It's Facebook. So if you don't like it, you can leave the group. Okay? But the sooner you join, the more help, the more interaction you're going to get, because I can answer more questions, right? If there's 10 people in the group and you ask questions, you're probably going to get an answer, and you're probably going to get it pretty fast. But when it gets to 100 or 1,000 people, obviously it's going to be tougher to get to you. So if you'd like my help for free, the best way to have an opportunity to get that is to join our private group. It's totally free, okay? Theimplementors.com. And we'll link to that in the show notes as well. So, hey, thanks for listening. And now let's bring on our guest, Glenn Twiddle, my event-producing, speaking, real estate investing, all-around superhero friend from down under. Welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
Jesus, mate. With an intro like that, I can't wait to hear what I got to say.
Hey, don't worry. Through the power of editing, we're going to make you sound really good, okay?
It will take some editing, I promise you.
Oh, man. So it's good to catch up. You and I met, back last September. So we're recording this in May. We met in September at Joel Bauer's event. And met your better half. Where is she? We should have Naomi on this, man. What?
We should. Well, you know what? I'm pretty sure, because it's late at night here. I know it's early morning there. And I get enthusiastic, and she's upstairs. It's late at night, so I'm sure at some stage during this recording, she'll be down here.
It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock for you.
We're up at 4 a.m. most mornings, man. So 9 o'clock's bedtime. So she'll be down here saying, what are you doing? And she'll be there. So when she comes down to chastise me, we'll chuck her on to say good day to the Sales Whisperer.
There we go. Yeah, I'm like you. I get up early. It's at 6 o'clock here. And got my coffee ready to go.
6 o'clock. That's lunchtime, brother.
I know. I mean, I've already been swimming, 7 miles and bench pressed 1,000 pounds, and I don't know. I saved 3 kittens from the trees. I mean, so I've already been doing some stuff.
I believed you on the 7 miles, but then when you hit the bench thing, then I knew. So I'm naive and gullible, mate. What can I say?
So, man, what are we going to talk about today? Huh? Your events? You put on some big events. You've had Arnold Schwarzenegger come out a couple of times, haven't you? Or is it just once so far out in Australia?
A couple of times. And I suppose, for your salespeople, there's a very serious, I suppose, business discussion to be had about the business application of what I've done with celebrities like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Richard Branson, Gary Vaynerchuk, Eric Thomas, some of these mega stars in the entrepreneurial world, in the, business world, acting, and stuff like that. But, man, living at a personal level, mate, it's like a dream come true getting to, somehow make my childhood dreams of hanging out with Arnold Schwarzenegger and socializing with him, and I go to his house in a week for a party and all of that, plus hanging out with my entrepreneurial heroes in Gary Vaynerchuk and Richard Branson, and finding a way to merge the work and I suppose dreams coming true is man, I still pinch myself sometimes that I get to do this and live this life I get to live, man.
So how did you do this? I mean, because you, one of the things I do know about you, Naomi, I mean, you put on big conferences, right? And is it just for real estate investors, and you get guys like Arnold coming out to speak, or what's the focus there?
Yeah, well, it's not. I mean, it started off not even for real estate investors. It's for real estate agents, which really are just when I say just, really are entrepreneurs, even though, many people wouldn't identify them as that. But so what my kind of conferences are, the equivalent in your world, it's a Dan Kennedy conference tailored to real estate. So I suppose, Dan Kennedy's got his real estate guys. There's Craig Ford and Craig Proctor, the two Craigs, and others like that. So it's applying marketing principles of differentiation, getting business A, in this case real estate agent A, chosen over business B. That's really what these conferences that I run are business building, how to have a better entrepreneurial life, how to have a better business. And because I used to be a real estate agent, some time ago, and I was only taught one method of doing business, of attracting new business, and that was outbound, painful, cold calls. That's why I set out to figure out how to get those people that I was annoying to call me instead of me having to call them. And so I traveled the world, figured out everything there was about marketing and about how to attract business to me. And then when we applied that to the real estate agency world, and it worked, we had real estate agents being, respected and admired and, I can't think of a better word than obeyed. Like most real estate agents give advice and their clients kind of, fold their arms and don't believe that advice because it's coming from a real estate agent. Well, we've turned that on its head and actually managed to get real estate agents as desired, trustworthy, called in, people are almost, well, no, it's not almost, people are respecting and almost feeling like, I remember one of my guys, Chris Gilmore, one of my students, who was telling me the other week that a young couple who lived in his area, who, because he markets to a very tight area, called him in to sell their home. And then her parents, who don't live in the area, who don't know his legend status, started putting him through the real estate ringer, if that term makes sense. It's started giving him the third degree, tell me. And the daughter who lives in the area, who owns the house, said, "Mum, shut the hell up. Don't you know who that is? That's Chris Gilmore. And he is blah, blah, blah." So what we've done is we've positioned a real estate agent, and these principles could work for any business, as celebrity authority specialists in their world. And so that's kind of where all these conferences started, was just with that. But in order to take these conferences to the next level and apply the very tactics and strategies that I teach them, we started making them bigger, getting more attention with them. And one of the ways we do that is with the advent of adding celebrity power to them. And that started with E.T., Eric Thomas. For some of your listeners, mate, would invariably know the Eric Thomas video, How Bad Do You Want It? The When You Want to Succeed As Bad As You Want to Breathe video. And, he was my favourite and is my favourite motivational speaker. So I brought him down to Australia. And then, I just started testing the boundaries of what's possible and who else can I get? What heroes of mine, if I could get my favourite speaker in the world to come to Australia and work with me, what else is possible? And bugger me, man, I keep asking that question and the world just keeps answering me with very good answers, and somehow we keep pulling it off, man. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when was the first time you did like a really big event?
Well, I suppose it warmed up to them. I don't know what the metaphor is, that old frog metaphor, that it's, we didn't go straight from level 0 when we were starting out to, Richard Branson and all of these mega ones. We went in levels. So my first little event was 12 people that I begged to come to a conference to hear. Well, you couldn't even call 12 people a conference, could you? That's a board meeting, if that, So, and my marketing method was begging. Just, hey, man, you're in real estate, you want to come and listen to this stuff? I think it might help. And that was it, And but so what happened was...
Well, so what was that, though? 'Cause I like to get down into the weeds because it's easy. Looking back, it's easy. I don't want my listeners to say, oh, well, yeah, look at him. He's famous and powerful. He's got Arnold Schwarzenegger on stage, and I can never do that. So that's why I love the fact that you say it was 12 that you just begged.
Correct. That was my outbound marketing methodology, brother. It was calling up some people who I knew were in real estate, who I'd networked with over the years as a real estate agent. I begged 12 people to come. I probably begged 30 people to come, and 12 came. And what happened out of those things is one said, well, look, that sounds pretty good. Can you help me implement some of that stuff? And this was when I was experimenting with direct response marketing in the style of a Dan Kennedy. And one person took me on as a client at like $200 a month maybe, and I spoke to him every week. So, I was pretty underpaid as a coach. But then I think, wow, so someone will pay me for this info? It's pretty good. So what I did is I just kept taking every penny that I ever earned from anyone, and I kept parlaying it back into, I know the second event, I had 50 people in that room, 50, and I made $12,000 worth of coaching revenue out of that 50 people. And so, again, I just poured it all back in, and I just kept parlaying and going all in every time. And, mate, to be honest, I'm still doing that to this day, only now the numbers are 7 figures every time we run an event, and I'm still parlaying and going all in.
So that very first event, was it literally just come to a conference room and you just talked about direct marketing for a couple of hours, like with a slide deck?
Yeah, wow, we are getting in the weeds. I love it, brother. That's good. Because if this is someone that's sitting there saying, I couldn't do that, and they have aspirations of being a speaker or a coach or, in this world in particular, we are getting into nitty gritty, and I love that. So for anyone who's not desiring to be that, make sure you don't throw out the message and think that this isn't applicable to you, because the principles here will work for any business. Yep. But to answer the question about, what specifically, so I booked a cheap room. One of the things is don't overcapitalize early, especially if you're going to do the begging tactic. I booked a cheap room, and I know over there in the States you can get some nice cheap rooms, but then you've got people all over the world listening, Wes. So, over here in Australia, a cheap room might be a couple of $100. So I paid that. It would have fitted if I had crammed them in, maybe 40 people, and so I only got 12. So I did that, booked a cheap room, begged 30, got them to come in, and what I did was I taught my story So I told them about why I'm doing this because I hated the way I was taught, right? I hated cold call prospecting. And I told them a story about when I was the sales manager of my real estate company, this guy kept cold calling me. Well, he cold called me once, but then he followed up. And he'd call me every 2 or 3 months to try and sell me a $40,000 photocopier, a printer photocopier kind of deal. And after the third call, I hung up on him, and I didn't hang up on him. I was always polite, but I hung up and I said, this guy is insane. I might need a photocopier. We'd bought one when we started the business, and we hadn't bought one since, and that was a couple of years. I think, I'm not going to buy another photocopier for years, for like 5 years, maybe. Why is this guy thinking that he called me 2 months ago that my needs had changed? And then I left my office and I was going and I looked around, and the very thing that I had taught all my guys, because that's what was taught to me, was to do the exact same thing to our consumers as this photocopier guy who I was thinking was a nut job, and yet I hung up the phone on him and I went to see my guys who I'd taught to do the exact same thing to my consumers. So I told that story to those real estate agents. I thought, no other business that wants to be perceived to be an expert, authority, specialist, whatever, like your brain surgeon who you go to save your life, or your heart surgeon didn't call you up last week, Wes, and say, hey, Wes, you're in sales, you're a global Infusionsoft expert, you're a sales legend, so you must be in a high-pressure job there, Wes. So you know what? I'm a heart surgeon, and look, mate, no one's ever died on my table. You must be in a highly stressful job. Look, mate, come over to my office and let's crack you open and let's give that heart a free checkup. In fact, no, Wes, even more, I'll come to you and I'll come at 8 o'clock at night whenever you're available, Wes. When you're specialists don't behave that way. So that's what I set out on this journey to figure out, righto, if this way that I was taught to do business, this cold calling crap is flawed, and I believed it was, I didn't know there was a solution out there, but I went on a search to find the solution. How do I get out of those 200 cold calls that I'm being told I need to make every week? How do I get the 5 people out of those 200 that were going to say maybe to me? How do I get those 5 people to call me? Heaven forbid they might even be predisposed to think I might be able to help them, but how do I get that to happen? And so that's what I did on that first event. I told that story, then I gave some tactics that I'd been learning from, dozens of mentors, some of whom you know and are colleagues of yours, Wes, and, Dan Kennedy being one of them. You mentioned Joel Bauer being another one. Actually, I don't think at that stage I'd studied anything of Joel. I think I found Joel in 2009, perhaps, maybe 2010. And this journey started in 2008. So, but yeah, I just started studying everyone. And in those early days, I really was experimenting on this, learning to write better copy, because a real estate agent is, horrible copywriter for the most part. They just say, hey, I'm in your street next week and I'm doing free appraisals. Would you like one? And everyone sounds the same. They're all completely was the word commoditized, is it? They're all completely identical. Right. You can't tell one from the other. It's a sea of sameness, I like to call it. And so I suspected there was another way, and I started saying to my guys, now, this stuff's never been done in real estate before, certainly not in this country. Just have a look around. We all look identical. We all sound identical. Is there a way we can stand out? Here's some ideas of what I've been learning, but let's go try this stuff on. So really in those first couple of seminars, it really was just trying it on. Right. And bugger me, it worked pretty well. We started creating out of my coaching program 7-figure earners, people earning $1 million in commissions every year. And then we started to get it as the years went on, and we started to kind of build that legend status within the coaching program. We went from almost being a bit of a laughing stock, because when we started to do some of this standout marketing, attention-getting marketing and all of that, we were bucking industry norms and the way things used to be done. And as we did that, we were a laughing stock to many people. These guys, they'll be gone within a minute. But as we started to create these $1 million agents, these number one leading agents all over the place, we kind of went from laughingstock to, top of the game over here because this stuff works. So, but it started with very humble beginnings, mate. 12 people, and my marketing prowess consisted of the begging method. But pretty soon, mate, we started, we went from 12 to 50 to 200 to 400 to 800, and now thousands of people come every conference to kind of see what mischief we're getting up to.
I love what you said in there, that you weren't yet really an expert at this, but you had been learning it, you'd been testing it, and I always tell people, basically, if you're one chapter ahead in the book, ahead of your clients, then you can be perceived as the expert, right?
It's true, mate. I mean, I'm sure there are, high school, biology teachers that are reading the chapter and then teaching the stuff the next day. So, yeah, 1,000% right, mate. One of my mentors, Mal Emery, great marketing guy down here in Australia, said, and he probably stole it off Dan Kennedy, I don't know, but I got to quote Mal because he's the one I heard say, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Yep.
Although that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and and like everything, there's two sides to every coin, right? I mean, on the one hand, we're not saying go out and basically fake it till you make it, but because you were one chapter ahead, you weren't charging $10,000 an hour, you were charging $200 a month, right? Yep. To help somebody stay ahead. You were shortening their learning curve, and it was worth a couple $100. But the thing that people forget is like the first that biology teacher, for that first year, they're hustling every day and every week to stay one chapter ahead. But at the end of the school year, they've finished the book and they get to start again with new students. Now they're reading the book for the second time, and they're that much better. And then the year will end, and they're going to read the book a third time, right? Now they're becoming the professional. Now they move from 8th grade biology to high school biology. Then they finish their master's and their PhD. Now they're teaching at top universities. But you got to start somewhere, and you can't be afraid to start, and you can't be afraid to charge for what you know. Even if you only know one chapter more than the next person, it is still valuable, right? So, I still want our listeners to charge for what you know. And just understand, just trust the process. And I'm sure when you were helping your client, that was probably some of your biggest learning, because you're like, I can't let this guy down. I don't want him to think I'm a fake. So you probably doubled down.
Oh, for sure. I still do that to this day. I walk my talk because I ask my clients every day to put on, lost leaders, to do things today that will result in business tomorrow to come to them. And so if they're, if I'm sort of preaching that, I better be doing that myself, because, none of these big events, I mean, if you do the math on one of those big events that I do and you count the heads in the room and you kind of do a quick equation, whereas knowing what you know, you'll think, how does Glenn profit from these things? And there's the answer, bud. I don't. I'm willing to go negative in order to have the entire country looking at Glenn Twiddle thinking, wow, it's a big ad, mate. It's a big advertisement for my personal brand that I get to cash in years to come. But yeah, it's certainly, by putting, by teaching these lessons, you better be walking your talk and not just, saying something that you heard someone else say. But that's the reason that I think I was happy to charge, is because I was paying other mentors, and it's almost like, as I got another client, I would pay another mentor $12,000 for their program for the year. So if I was charging 6 clients couple of $100 a month, well, that's paying for my year's mentorship with the expert. Right. And I've got to work for those 6 people for free. But I'm the guy who's traveling around the world learning these things. So it's almost like I'm a paid learner for my clients, and that's how I kind of saw that. And even to the point, I remember the year I paid a mentor $50,000 for the year for a You Become Me kind of program, a full immersion, teaches you everything he does kind of deal. And what I did was I had so I paid that off at about $4,000 a month. I had 8 clients at $400 a month. if I remember correctly. So that was 3/4 of my education in that program paid for by, and so the way I justified it is I work for those 8 people for free, effectively, and they pay for my education with this expert. So it's kind of my way of justifying it. And by thinking of it that way, it was really easy for me to charge the $400 of those 8 people. Because I'm thinking, man, you're getting $4,000 worth of information. Sure, you've got to get it through my interpretation, but yeah, good. 10th of the price. I'm not that bad an interpreter that you're going to lose out here. You know, That was the way I justified it in my head. So by me justifying it like that, perhaps, and you'd be able to tell me more so than me, mate, because I'm not much of a salesperson. I'm a good marketer, and so I've sort of made up for my lack of skill in selling. And we've lost half your listeners because you're saying, Wes, this is a sales podcast, brother. What are you doing interviewing someone who admits he's no good at sales? Well, the way I get around not being very good at saying, hey, I'm going to need some money for what I know, is I justify it using little tricks like that so my head gets out of the way. So it says, no, dude, you got to give me these few bucks because you should be paying me 10 times that amount. So I ask with very little sales kind of ick factor. That's almost like I'm saying, dude, I got the deal of the decade for you. So that's kind of how that's one of the ways I trick myself into being able to ask for money, because I'm not very good at looking someone in the eye saying, give me money. I'm not very good at it. So find little workarounds. That's what I do.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I think we all are a little uncomfortable with that to a degree. But, I mean, you were in real estate. You were leading a team. Golly, you got Naomi. So, dude, I mean, you can sell.
Yeah, I must be able to do something in the influence and persuasion world, huh?
But, yeah, I'm the same way, right? I don't like the old school high pressure tactics. That never felt right to me. And I've worked around and with plenty of those kinds of people. Maybe it's my Air Force background, right? Go in, drop a bunch of bombs, soften up the beachhead, right? Then send the Army in, and it's much easier when you have air power. So that's what your marketing is, right? It's that air power. It softens them up. It warms them up. People are familiar with you. They may not know it yet, but they do know, like, and trust you just because of the plethora of information. And you're not like the other people. I always tell my clients, you prove that you're different by being different.
Yep.
Right? Because everybody, I'm different. If I can just get in front of them, if I can get in front of a qualified prospect, I'm really good. I'm like, really? Really? Wow. Isn't that genius? Yeah. I mean, my 3-year-old Ava is very good once she gets in front of somebody, but it's the prospecting. That's the hard part, is setting that appointment. And so by better marketing, you're differentiating yourself. You're already different because you started off different. And you're going to have better conversations because of the things that you're teaching your people.
Yeah, what I've found by becoming a better marketer and by, because I've met some people, that are so good at selling, they could have one prospect and they could get a 1 out of 1 and they get some money, So, but the way I got around that is by becoming a better marketer, by becoming I can't remember who said this, but it was something like, set yourself on fire and people will come from miles to watch you burn. So it's kind of like I did that. I set myself on fire and a lot of people come to watch me burn. Well, if there's 1,000 people in that room and I kind of even badly saying, hey, if you want to learn a couple of things, I've got a way for you to do it. If that first person doesn't kind of like it and feels like he's being sold to or something, I'll just say, excuse me, bud, can you just pop out of the way? Because there's 999 people right behind you that I need to kind of that are itching to get forward. So I've sort of let sheer weight of prospects in planet Twiddle, I suppose, do some of that selling for me. Because it's, and like I know the purists, those people who are really good salespeople would be cringing, saying, how many prospects am I wasting? And I'm sure I am, but I get to live this life where I don't have to kind of close, I suppose, and I just allow and get out of the way for the people who kind of want to buy from me. So, I do think that the better you are as a marketer, at least I've found this, the better you are as a marketer, the less of those high pressure tactics and skills that you need. But if you've only got a room of 12 people and you need to feed your family this weekend, well, you better get 8 of them to give you some money, or there'll be trouble. But
right.
With 1,000, there's not as much pressure on to make your 30 sales you might need to make to earn that month's income.
Yeah, and what I tell people is, great marketing makes selling easy, but great selling makes great marketing possible.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Because
right.
without the funds to do that, without the selling, you got no funds to do that marketing. Agreed.
Because in the beginning, you hustled, right? You talked to 30, you got 12. Then you did your thing, and then you sold 1, and then you sold 2, and then you got 50 at the next one, and then a couple hundred, and now thousands.
Yep.
But it started by making that initial sale. You got busy. And that gave you the means to do better marketing.
Yeah.
Because that's where we all want to be, right? We all want the phone to ring. Actually, we don't even want the phone to ring, right? I want people hitting my website,
money.
sending me money.
Money in the account. That's it, bro.
I mean, let's be honest, right? And but you got to have really good marketing. And the thing is, what qualifies as good marketing in 2008 doesn't qualify as good marketing in 2017. This thing's moving, right?
Yeah.
It's changing.
So fast, mate. It staggers me. And principles will stay the same. Get attention.
Yep.
Get a client to read, hear, or see, or whatever, good, compelling words that affect those parts of the brain that get us to take action. So all that's the same. But the media with which you've got to get that message to those eyeballs or to that ear, wow, that is moving at a rate of knots like I've never seen. And look, I sound like an old timer. I only really started in this world in kind of 2007. I started studying. 2008, I did my first event. But that's still 9 years. I've never seen anything like the last couple of years as far as media shifting so quickly, primarily due to the advent of social media and smartphones and Facebook and all of these other platforms moving so quickly. Man, you've got to be on it to stay current.
Yeah. And that's, again, good news and bad news. So the bad news is it's work. The good news is your competition won't do it.
Yeah.
So stay ahead, right? It's like your competition's still reading, the biology book from 1950, and you're like, damn, I just read the 2016 book. Now I got to read the 2017 edition. Yeah, you do. And then you have to read the 2018 edition. But you're going to have a line out the door to be in your class. And you'll get promoted while everybody else is begging for work. So those are the trade-offs.
And I used to draw a line that I used to say, I'm a marketing coach. I'll teach you how to market and position yourself and all of that. Sure, go to those other guys. There's social media marketing people and there's these and there's that. I'm now sort of not quite ready to say they're one and the same thing. But I tell you what, for someone to call themselves a marketing coach but not a social media marketing coach, it's almost like that line's non-existent now, that if you're not a social media marketing coach, then you aren't a marketing coach. It's getting close.
Well, so let's talk about that, because I still have bittersweet feelings about social media. I feel like social media is really just a pay-to-play platform now. And you can do a little bit of tactics and strategy and gamesmanship even, and get some organic reach. But people I see that are really killing it, they're paying to get the exposure through social media. So in that regard, it seems it's just like it's another paid medium
Oh, mate, you're 1,000% right. But then, so too was direct mail in the 80s or whatever the hell Joe Sugarman started selling blue blocker sunnies or whatever. Direct mail, we're just simply back to that. Only the media happens to be paying Mark Zuckerberg instead of paying some giant conglomerate, direct mail company or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, but you're 1,000% right that, look at someone like, and I don't know if your folks know him terribly well or know much about him. I certainly don't. But there's a fella called Ty Lopez that has basically somehow gamed the system and bought international celebrity, because I know him down here in Australia, as do many people, and he did that by having some form of self-liquidating video modules that self-liquidated enough that he could break even and pay for YouTube ads across the planet to the point of saturation where now he's got a genuine business, a real business, and he's a celebrity, pseudo-celebrity, I suppose. But he certainly has paid to play. But I suppose that's the thing is, should we judge him? Because he's now got a 7-figure business based on initially artificial celebrity. Well, welcome to 2017. We're in the year that's possible. But then I wonder if that wasn't always possible, but we just didn't know about it. Because there were celebrities back around in ye olde worldy, like a P.T. Barnum or even an Evel Knievel. There was no substance to what Evel Knievel did except the bike. He was in the business of being a marketer, a self-aggrandizer, a media tart, so to speak. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I just figure you can go broke. If it's pay to play, you can go broke paying if you don't play well, I suppose. That's the one thing. You can pay for Facebook ads all you want and not make a penny if you don't do it well. So, but I see why it's a bittersweet kind of love-hate relationship you've got with it, bud. But I play the game, at least in my niche, because primarily, even though I've got entrepreneurs from all sorts of industries, because of the broad appeal of working with a Gary Vaynerchuk and Eric Thomas, a Richard Branson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, etc., they've got broad appeal, so I get entrepreneurs from all walks of life now coming to me, speakers, coaches, everyone. But historically, it was real estate agents. And in the real estate world, very few, I would even argue and say none, played the social media game as well as I do or did or do, probably still. No one's probably close. So what that means is in my category, in that space, I'm kind of leading, and that's a good thing because it means I don't have to be the best technically at what it is that I do. I'm sure there's far better speakers, probably better coaches, depend maybe not in my particular category of marketing, but there's better real estate coaches in Australia, and yet the numbers in their rooms don't say so. You know what I mean? That you don't have to be the best at what you do when you're the most well-known at what you do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't know if that makes any sense, but kind of.
For sure.
It's late at night. I've got to be forgiven.
Yeah, I love it. And, my thing with social media is just that when somebody says, oh, I'm a social media marketer, what they're really saying is they're going to go to Canva and make you some Instagram pictures and do some hashtags and share that, right? And they sell themselves as, oh, you need to hire me for a lot of money because I'm just going to have cute little boomerang images on Snapchat, and this is going to make you money. But reality is, you said it exactly right. To be a social media marketer today is really just implementing best practices of old school direct mail marketing. Anyone
if any of you guys are being pitched by someone like that, then offer them a percentage. Now, they'll all say no because they've got no talent and no ability in their thing. But if they're truly saying to you, you've got to do this, maybe don't even, because, they won't pay to play on a revenue basis like that because they don't trust your ability to close. So maybe just make it on a per lead basis. Leave the closing up to me. You deliver me a lead, and I'll pay you for each and every one of your leads that your tactic brings me. Right. You do that, we're golden. And man, I'd pay a guru for that. I pay Guru in fact, I do. I pay people like that all the time. Right. I pay for leads, bums on seats, etc. in the rooms because I know my maths. But yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. If someone just goes and says, "Hey, you've got to hire me for whatever it is because I'll make some Canva images," that ain't marketing in my boat.
Yep, and that's what people push off as a skill, and I see so many people getting burned. I talk to so many people, asking like, "How do I go viral?" It's like, dude, if there was an easy prescription, then everybody would go viral, and then nobody would be viral because everybody was viral.
That's true.
It's
a few good books, a few good resources I'd draw their attention to. The one I like best, there's that Made to Stick. Gives a few principles. Have you read that one, Made to Stick? It gives a few principles of when ideas get, maybe not viral, but when ideas stick around.
Right.
So there are a few people who've tried to break down the formula, but I tell you, it's I'd rather just do virality through sheer weight of content and hope something goes a bit crazy than try and break it down and break down the formula, man, And I'm still working on it. My best YouTube channel is an Eric Thomas themed one, and ET's just got some magic about him. And I've got 15,000 subs and 1 million views on maybe one of the videos and maybe a couple 100,000 on others. But, man, out of all of them, there is no way I could have picked that video over this one as going to be the winner, because sometimes just that public is the one that makes up its mind on what it's going to share.
Yeah, very cool. I got your YouTube channel pulled up here. Got your website. So where should we send people? I'm going to link to everything, but what shout out should we give them?
I would just say, if people want to learn anything from me, man, if I'm a marketer and I'm walking my talk, all I should be able to say is Glenn Twiddle, and you'll find me. Because if any of these social media gurus say, yeah, I'm a marketing guy, if they can't just give you their name and that's enough, then don't pay them a dime, because they're not much of a marketer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm everywhere, man. And that's one of my secrets is you go anywhere, you'll find me. I remember one of my real estate guys, he said, I was on Fiverr, and I can't believe I put in real estate training and you frickin' came up there as well. I was on eBay. I put in real estate training and you come up there as well. So, man, some of that stuff I don't monitor anymore, so I don't know if it's still up there. But, Bud, you look there and I'll have a position. And, some like I won't have much of action going on Pinterest because it's not my bag, but I'm there. I won't have much action going on LinkedIn, but I'm there. But boy, you go to my Facebook or really, that's where I probably go all in is Facebook.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got a good presence in multiple platforms there. So I mainly play on Facebook, a little bit of Instagram, YouTube, and I dabble in the rest. But yeah, man, if anyone wants to freebies, if you put Glenn Twiddle and free gift on there, you'll find free stuff everywhere. Because I go for volume, not. I'm more. Here's the metaphor I like. I don't know if your guys are of my vintage or older, but when the UFC just started, there was Tank Abbott, right? He was a street fighter, fists flying everywhere. He lost more often than he won. He was just an animal. He was a pub brawler. He'd get killed in the UFC nowadays, right? No. But if Tank Abbott is fist fighting, street fighting, pub brawling or whatever, he still knocked some people out. He still had some wins. Whereas the black belt is sitting there with precision. He can just do one little tap and boom, in the solar plexus and the fight's over. I'm more a Tank Abbott marketer than I am a Bruce Lee marketer. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing punches everywhere and eventually someone's going to end up on the floor and more than half the time it's me. But it's all good.
I want to see that video where you punched Arnold. So I've heard about it, man. I want to see it.
Don't know about punching him. He caught me one in the guts. No, we went to Gold's Gym. No punching with Arnold. It's all hugs, man. It's all hugs. It's all love.
Yeah, I did see the video y'all working out. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. That's a dream come true, man. Going to Gold's Gym, working out with your childhood hero is I mean, it's literally like, one of my guys said, that's like playing one-on-one with Michael Jordan, playing a bit of one-on-one with Michael Jordan or before his fall from grace, playing a round of golf with Tiger Woods, sparring with Ali. You're at Gold's Gym, the mecca of bodybuilding, working out with inarguably the greatest bodybuilder of all time. That's bucket list stuff, man. That's bucket list.
Did he call you a girly man?
Oh man, he's into me. Every time he sees me, he's up me about losing weight. So I'm down. I'm down 13 kilos. So what's that in pounds? 26. That's 30 pounds.
Almost 30 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah, but I got more to go, brother. More to go.
That's a great start. Yeah, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 4 months, and I've lost 10 or 11 pounds and wasn't even trying.
Yeah, mate, I saw you in the gi online the other day, man. Looking good, bud. No, it's good. But it's good. I mean, people can have a look. There is actually an interview. If you put Glenn Twiddle, Arnold Schwarzenegger in YouTube, you can check out an interview I did at Gold's after we worked out. And, man, I don't think you'll see a tear in my eye because I think I held it back. But he's my childhood hero, and I'm just hanging out with him and stuff in the little back room in Gold's. And he says, I know we were goofing and playing around back there, mate, but he didn't say mate, the Aussie say mate. He said, I know we're goofing and playing around back there and I'm giving you some stick, but I see how hard you've been going. I see you've dropped the weight. And I'm really proud of how you're going. And, oh, man, I had to choke back a tear. Here's my hero saying he's proud of what I've done. Oh, man, seriously. I mean, for those who, you got some younger listeners, Wes, I know, but for those 45 vintage, which is how old I am, who grew up watching Terminator and all of those, Commando and Predator and all of that, to be sitting there and be having experiences like that, man, boy, oh, boy, I owe this marketing entrepreneurship world a whole debt of gratitude, man, because I get to do crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Because he's like 69, right?
Yeah, 70 in July, mate, and he's still an animal.
Is he pushing around some weight?
Yeah, man, he's an animal. I mean, he doesn't go as heavy as he used to, but because he's had some heart challenges and stuff like that. But mate, they ain't going to stop the Terminator.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. Well, I've got links here to your website, to your Twitter, and I pulled up that interview too. So we're going to link to that full interview on YouTube. So everybody, please go to thesaleswhisperer.com, look up the Glenn Twiddle episode, find that link, watch that video, get inspired, and then give Glenn a shout. Go visit him in Australia. Go to the conference. Maybe you'll meet Arnold.
Yeah, man, I got to get you down next conference, brother. I tried to get you down for this last one, man. You got to get down for the next one because, I don't know if it'll be Arnold again. I'm going to his house in a week, and the way I got him to come to the second time was he invited me to his house, and we'd had a few to drink, and I kind of, under the influence where I'd had a few, he'd had a few, we said, let's do it. Well, let's do it again. So in a week's time, mate, I'll try and beg him to come down and do round 3, do the second sequel.
Well, yeah, I just, a couple of weeks ago, I flew down to Argentina. It's been a week with my son who was studying there. And I haven't been to Australia. But after going all the way to Patagonia, good grief, Australia is going to be a hop, skip, and a jump. That was like 32 hours of travel. Good grief. Wow,
14 hours each way to Australia. So, yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's easier, though, than what I did. So, let's do it.
Cool, mate. Sounds like a plan.
All right, Glenn Twiddle, you're calling in from Perth today, right? Instead of where are you normally? Is it Queensland?
Yeah, I live in the Virgin Lounge. That Virgin Airlines. I live in the Virgin Lounge. I got a house in Queensland full of my stuff. I've got a partner, Naomi, over here in Perth. So I got like 3 residences I kind of am at regularly. So I just live in the Virgin Lounge, and I got a house full of my stuff in Queensland.
All right, very good. Well, thanks for staying up late, but now I'll get you to bed before 10, so Naomi won't be mad.
My pleasure, Wes, mate. Good to hear from you as always, bud. And I can't wait to catch up again. Give you a hug, bro.
All right. Good to talk to you. Cheers, mate.
You too, mate. See you, bud.
How'd you like that, huh? He is as nice as he sounds, and he is filling up stadiums and auditoriums with people. So study what Glenn is doing. If you want to speak one-to-many, if you want to sell from the stage, check him out. If you have spoken on the stage, if you have that kind of experience, he has events. He's doing more in the U.S., but he does these regularly in Australia. If you want to go out there, then hit him up and he's very approachable, easy to reach, and if you bring something of value, he'll make room for you. Okay. And somewhere that we've made room for you as well, and I talked about in the beginning, so I'm going to talk about this a good bit in the coming episodes, is join us online for free. It's a private group for listeners of the show, for visitors of the website that want more engagement in a group setting, and they can't afford the normal rates, or they just want to kind of bounce some ideas around, be around people that are getting stuff done and that are sharing. It's at theimplementors.com. It's a private Facebook group. Join us there. Let's see how it goes. The earlier you join, the more help you will get. So I'm going to wrap this up and go to Taco Tuesday. So thanks for listening. As always, please let me know you're out there. Share this. Give us a 5-star review. And remember to sell different.